If you stay with me through this video, there is a very good chance you or somebody you love could save money, find hidden benefits, avoid costly mistakes, or finally understand how to survive on Social Security without feeling completely overwhelmed every single month. And I'm not talking about little changes either. Sometimes one small piece of information can mean hundreds of dollars more every month. Sometimes it means the difference between barely surviving and finally being able to breathe again. Because here's the truth nobody wants to say out loud. Millions of good people are struggling right now. Seniors who worked their entire lives, veterans, widows, disabled Americans, people who spent 40 or 50 years paying into the system, believing that one day the system would help take care of them too. But then retirement comes, the bills keep rising, groceries get more expensive, Medicare gets confusing, and suddenly people find themselves sitting at the kitchen table wondering how they're supposed to make it all work. And what breaks my heart is this. So many people are missing benefits they already earned simply because nobody explained the rules to them properly. Nobody told them about the programs. Nobody told them about the loopholes, the protections, the timing tricks, the insider details that can make a massive difference. That's why I decided to make these videos. I spent years inside the Social Security system. I saw the confusion. I saw people walk into offices scared, frustrated, exhausted, and completely lost. Some people were getting the wrong amount. Some filed for the wrong benefit. Some didn't even realize they qualified for extra help. And the hardest part was knowing that many of those mistakes could have been avoided if somebody had just taken the time to explain things in plain English. So that's what we're going to do here. No complicated government language, no talking down to people, just real information from somebody who spent years seeing how the system actually works behind the scenes. And even if you personally feel okay financially right now, please don't click away because I guarantee there is somebody around you who needs this information desperately. Maybe it's your mother, your father, your neighbor down the street. Maybe it's the older man working part-time at the gas station because his check isn't enough anymore. Maybe it's the widow sitting alone trying to understand paperwork she never expected to handle by herself. Share this with them because once you learn these tips, tricks, and secrets, you start realizing something very important. Most people are not failing because they are lazy. They're failing because the system is complicated, confusing, and incredibly hard to navigate alone. But today, we're going to change that together. So grab your coffee, sit down with me for a little while, and let's start uncovering the things former insiders know that could help you survive and maybe even breathe easier again on Social Security. There is a very good chance that something you hear today could completely change the life of someone you love. Maybe it helps them find extra money every month. Maybe it helps them avoid a terrible mistake. Maybe it simply gives them hope again after months or even years of stress and worry. And that matters because so many good people are struggling quietly right now. They smile in front of others, but deep inside they are scared every time they open a bill, walk through the grocery store, or check their bank account at the end of the month. The truth is, millions of people worked hard their entire lives believing Social Security would protect them when they got older. They woke up early, worked long hours, raised families, paid taxes, and did everything they were supposed to do. But now, many of them feel forgotten. They feel confused by the system, exhausted by paperwork, and overwhelmed by rules nobody ever explained to them properly. That is why this information is so powerful. One simple tip can sometimes unlock benefits people never knew existed. One small decision can mean hundreds of dollars saved or gained every single month. And sometimes, just finally understanding the system brings peace of mind that people have not felt in years. This is not just information. For many people, this is relief. This is hope. This is a second chance to finally breathe again without fear constantly hanging over their heads. I'm not coming to you as somebody who just read a few articles online or watched a couple videos and suddenly decided to call myself an expert. I spent years inside the Social Security system. I sat across from real people every single day. I saw the fear in their eyes when they didn't know how they were going to pay rent. I listened to widows who had no idea what benefits they qualified for. I talked with disabled workers who felt completely lost trying to understand complicated rules and endless paperwork. For decades, I watched how the system worked from the inside. I saw what helped people and what hurt them. I saw mistakes that cost people thousands of dollars simply because nobody took the time to explain things clearly. And honestly, that stayed with me because most people are not asking for luxury. They are not asking to become rich. They just want dignity. They just want enough money to sleep peacefully at night without worrying about how they will survive next month. That is why I decided to speak openly and honestly about everything I learned. Because there are secrets, tips, and little known programs that can truly make life easier for people who are struggling. There are things many retirees and families never hear about until it is too late. And when you spend years helping people navigate one of the most confusing systems in the country, you realize something important. Information is powerful. The right information at the right moment can completely change somebody's future. Right now, all across this country, millions of people are waking up every morning with fear sitting heavy on their hearts. They check their mailbox, hoping there are no new bills waiting for them. They walk into grocery stores and quietly put things back on the shelf because prices have become too high. They sit at kitchen tables late at night trying to figure out how to stretch one Social Security check far enough to survive another month. And the hardest part is that many of these people did everything right. They worked hard for decades. They sacrificed for their families. They paid into the system year after year, believing there would be security waiting for them one day. But now, so many seniors, disabled Americans, veterans, and widows feel abandoned and overwhelmed by rising costs and confusing rules they were never prepared for. That is why this moment matters so much, because people cannot afford to miss opportunities anymore. They cannot afford to lose benefits they earned simply because nobody explained the system properly. Every dollar matters now. Every decision matters now. And maybe that person struggling is not even you. Maybe it is your father trying to hide his stress from the family. Maybe it is your elderly neighbor smiling during the day but crying at night because they do not know how they will pay for medicine next month. People need real answers. They need hope. They need someone willing to finally speak clearly, honestly, and directly about how to survive when life starts feeling impossible. This is bigger than just one person sitting and watching a video. This is about families, neighbors, friends, and people quietly struggling all around us every single day. Sometimes the people hurting the most are the ones who never ask for help. They smile, they say they are fine, and they keep carrying the weight alone because they do not want to become a burden to anyone. Maybe you know someone like that right now. Maybe it is your mother carefully counting every dollar before going to the grocery store. Maybe it is your grandfather pretending he already ate dinner because he is trying to save money. Maybe it is the veteran down the street working long hours even in retirement because his Social Security check is simply not enough anymore. That is why information like this matters so much. One conversation, one shared video, one small tip can completely change somebody's situation. Sometimes people do not even realize they qualify for extra benefits or support programs. Sometimes they are only one step away from getting help, but nobody ever showed them where to look. We live in a time where so many people feel forgotten. But helping others does not always require money. Sometimes helping simply means sharing knowledge that gives somebody hope again. It means letting people know they are not alone and that there are still ways to make life easier, safer, and more secure. And when people start helping each other like that, something beautiful happens. Fear starts turning into confidence, confusion starts turning into understanding, and struggling families finally begin to see light again. One of the saddest things I learned after years around the Social Security system is that so many people are losing benefits they already earned and they do not even realize it. Not because they did something wrong, not because they were careless, but because nobody ever explained the system to them in a simple and honest way. The rules are confusing, the paperwork feels endless, and many people walk away frustrated before they ever discover the help available to them. I have seen people miss out on thousands of dollars just because they filed for the wrong program. I have seen widows who did not know they qualified for survivor benefits. I have seen disabled workers struggle for years because they were never told about protections that could help them. And every single time it breaks your heart a little because you realize how many good people are carrying stress they should not have to carry alone. But here is the beautiful part: knowledge changes everything. Sometimes one small piece of information can completely turn a person's life around. One phone call, one application, one question asked at the right moment. Suddenly, a person who felt trapped starts seeing hope again. Suddenly, there is extra money for groceries, medicine, rent, or simply a little peace of mind at the end of the month. People deserve to know the truth. They deserve to understand the benefits they worked for all their lives. And once you learn these hidden tips and secrets, you start realizing there are more opportunities out there than most people ever imagined. 6. Into 250 words. Don't add any subheadings and any conclusion in last of keynote. Make it enthusiastic and emotional and inspirational, and use simple wordings. I want this to feel like two people sitting across the table together, maybe with a cup of coffee, having a real conversation about real life. No complicated words, no confusing government talk, just honest advice from someone who understands how difficult things have become for so many people. Because the truth is, life can feel incredibly heavy sometimes, especially when every month becomes a battle to keep up with bills, medicine, food, and basic needs. And I know how lonely that struggle can feel. A lot of people are carrying silent fear inside them right now. They are tired of being passed around on phone calls, tired of getting different answers from different offices, tired of feeling like nobody truly explains anything clearly. They just want someone to slow down, speak like a human being, and help them understand what options they actually have. That is exactly why these conversations matter so much, because sometimes people do not need fancy speeches. They need honesty. They need someone who says, I understand what you are going through, and I want to help you find a better path. And when people finally hear information explained in a simple way, you can almost feel the relief lifting off their shoulders. Little by little, confusion starts disappearing. Fear starts getting smaller. Hope starts growing again. And suddenly people realize they are not powerless after all. They realize there are still programs, protections, and opportunities that can help them survive and move forward with dignity and confidence again. What you are about to hear could open your eyes in ways you never expected. Because most people only know a tiny piece of how Social Security and Medicare really work. They hear rumors from friends, read confusing information online, or trust advice from people who only understand part of the system. Meanwhile, there are insider tips, hidden opportunities, and important strategies that many families never discover until it is far too late. That is why this journey together is going to be so important. We're going to talk about the things nobody explains clearly, the little tricks that can protect your money, the mistakes that quietly cost people benefits every single year, the programs that can make life easier for seniors, disabled Americans, veterans, and struggling families. And the best part is that many of these things are not impossible or complicated once somebody finally explains them in simple words. I want you to feel excited because knowledge like this creates confidence. It creates hope. When people finally understand their options, they stop feeling trapped. They stop feeling helpless. They begin to feel stronger, smarter, and more prepared for the future. And as these conversations continue, you may discover answers that completely change how you think about retirement, Social Security, Medicare, and financial survival. You may hear something that helps your parents, your spouse, your neighbor, or even yourself in ways you never imagined possible. Sometimes one hidden secret can become the turning point that helps somebody finally breathe easier and sleep peacefully again.